Me and my head after. There's definitely no logic to human behavior. But yet so. Hi, welcome to my show, Allura. I must give props to Bjork and other artists for inspiring some of these shows, my writing, some of my crazy dance style moves. I found out that indeed, as I suspected in my other videos, the raspiness of the throat is because I have been working on overcoming some of my fears. But this episode is dedicated to something we're all familiar with, the term called emotional vampires. Whether or not you believe in the vampire of the Scandinavian, Transylvania days, or simply the reality that human behavior, as odd and appropriately put as Bjork says, is confusing. One of the phenomenons that energy healers always speak of, or should speak of, is the state of vibration that an emotional vampire does carry. Now, most of these sickos are not even aware that they are sucking the life out of you. And on a pragmatic, realistic level, I'm sure in your life somewhere, spouse, lover, friend, family, you've met someone like this. It's that feeling you get when you leave after meeting someone or someone that you're acquainted or very deeply involved with that leaves you dry, empty, tired. It is this form of transference that occurs between individuals. And there's a fine line between being a friend, healer, counselor, and allowing this low vibration to inflict and come over your life, which is why when I started the video, there was a darkness that I presented, because indeed, when you are in a state of being around someone like that, your life is this. And in order to shine and come forward, awareness has to occur about what's happening. So let's put into a perspective what it is an emotional vampire does, intentionally or not. They are operating off of a narcissistic personality, a personality that is, woe is me, life hates me, feel sorry for me, my problems are, worse than yours. And I've had clients with these attributes, but if they're well-meaning, typically we convert that kind of vibration to one of gratitude. And that is one episode I will definitely invest in and show you forms of gratitude from minuscule to grand that simply can wipe out this darkness that you may feel. So all of us have met someone like this. Can we eradicate them? Can we use my wonderful healing crystals, which I do use? Can we get a clove of garlic, a cross if necessary? I don't think it has to be that extreme. Do what you must. For me, awareness, as I've said in the previous episode, is half the battle. Also, a departure, a separation, so that you are away from this individual and they are not attacking you. What happens with a low frequency is, it really cannot affect you if you are buzzing in a place of gratitude. The minute you open yourself and come closer to the person trying to annihilate your energy, again, intentionally or not, the more you're susceptible to losing your own fluctuating high vibration and being, taken down to their level, a level of what I always refer to as darkness. So in order to come towards the light and maintain the light is one of being conscious of what's happening. And again, I said there is a fine line between being a friend, even as a counselor, or allowing yourself to invest so much energy into their dilemma. In order to be a friend, you really, would be nice if you listen, but you must learn to cleanse, detach from their issues, especially if they're repetitive issues. And I have fallen once very victim to an emotional vampire with all my healing traits, with all my, I mean, I should have gotten the garlic out at that point. Satan. Um, and it was through an acquaintance that came at a time when I needed financial help and invested in bringing in a person to help as a roommate. And if the story sounds like you, it probably is, but it isn't. Disclaimer. So don't sue me because it happened. Um, and lovely, lovely person, actually, with a lot of drama. I thought I had some. This person has issues galore. And I approached them with sympathy. First mistake. Sympathy is you attach yourself to the outcome. You want them better. Come on, you want to help friends overcome and get angry when you give advice and so forth. I should have come with an approach of empathy. And that way, there would have been a separation from that dark state they were in. And instead of me illuminating, helping this person literally to the point where I was wiping vomit when they had surgery upon moving in, I almost had to wipe asses. But every day, as patient I was, every day that person left our environment. And I was very open-minded, allowed whatever faith comes into the home. I'm a person of faith. I welcome anything of the light, like behind me. But every time this person felt an increasing nauseousness, and I should have known, because when we speak of the chakras in one other episode, the solar plex is the gut that lets you know. And every time that person was in my space, I felt nauseousness to the point where I would rush behind, that person or across their dark environment of a room. And I could not escape the nauseousness. Slowly, over time, what had ended up happening is my you shall, be better, affirmation phase. I am a healer / mother / realtor phase. I started feeling the heaviness of the attachments this person had, the narcissism, unappreciativeness. And here's the killer. This person is a person of faith that could recite any verse, Old, New Testament. I'm sure she even had another background in Islam, could recite anything. And yet her actions spoke volumes against it. What ended up happening is my own high vibration was caught off guard with continuous negative energy. And no matter what cleansing, saging I was doing, prayers I was doing, because of my own insecurities and my own dilemma, that darkness came onto me. By the time I was ready to address that emotional vampire, I was as wicked, ungrateful, and disrespectful to get that entity and whatever was attached to that person out of my house. Now, I am ashamed of myself as a healer to have gone to that vibration. It isn't that this person took it from me. You cannot really take something that is not being offered. What I offered her was the sympathy, my own insecurities. What I offered her was something maybe without gratitude. And I was literally sucked into the world that person lived. And the final confrontation was despicable. I sent email. I am not proud of that, But I literally became my own wicked vampire and allowed someone with an illness, attachments, and I do believe that person does have attachments. So I actually, in a better phase of my life now, I pray continuously, sending them glorious prayers. First, for their jujus off of me, and second, that they reach a plane of gratitude rather than, preaching and not following beautiful verses and all that good stuff. So the point being with human behavior in this particular instance is the vibration of an emotional vampire and yours, how to differentiate it. And as I mentioned before, being empathetic and sympathetic are very different. Knowing who you are and detaching from the ailments that person has. so that you can maintain into the light. However, as you forget your own place of gratitude or are tested by accepting and carrying the burden of their own dilemmas, then you have nothing left except that darkness. I want you out of that darkness. Practice the higher vibrations. Gratitude is one of them. Practice being a good friend without being the counselor, or being the counselor and leaving the work at home, as many have to do. And it sounds somewhat harsh, but if you want to protect yourself, other than some of the actual crystals that I do use, love my citrine, for example. Amber, not only self-loving, but practical, as for healing and warding off energies. And I'll talk more about stones and their vibrations. Turquoise, not only good luck, but certainly a beautiful stone of healing for oneself. Tiger's eye, very good. I don't have one in front of me to show you, but these from the earth have their own vibrations that at one point a segment will be dedicated to my brilliant crystals. My point is, I want you to stay in the light. And in order to do so, you really have to separate, recognize, and understand what an emotional vampire is, whether they're intentionally drawing you in or trying to take your energy. But you cannot take what is not given. And that is the lesson I learned after I became Despicable Me as a result and woke myself up to the realization of what was happening. So with that in mind, I wish you much blessings, crystals galore, garlic galore, if you must, to deal with an emotional vampire. And most of all, remember my channel about spirituality is, it is not, and certainly not meant to be, boring.